We'll be doing
Mimes.
no, we're going to be doing
Midgets.
What? Hey, what shots are we doing in the parking lot? We're doing
Streaking.
I want to say Tokyo shots in the parking lot, but
Streaking.
kamikazes. We'll be doing kamikazes in the parking lot.
Pulling a Thread Podcast, episode 93 on November 6th. I want you to remember the 5th of November. How do you think the view looks this morning?
I bet it's a shit show. But I'll bet, you know what? I bet it's a shit show, but I also bet that the ratings are through the roof. I'll bet there are so many people that are tuning in just to see if Whoopi Goldberg's going to leave the country, Joe Behart's going to jump off the building. Those are the only two I know.
Yeah. Did you see all the, we need to set up an underground underground railroad to rescue, it's the wackos. It's Crazy Cat Ladies for Kamala is the name of the Facebook group. Somebody said it's bothering that a group like this even exists.
I mean, I hope that Donald Trump I hope his administration really addresses the mental illness that's going on in this country. Because you had a lot of people vote for Kamala Harris, and they ran the worst campaign that has ever been run in this country. Like it was I can't even see how anybody, like I get people that didn't want to vote for Trump, but I can't imagine walking into a booth and honestly putting your check mark on her fucking name, because even Joe Biden was doing ads for Trump.
I saw it. Yeah, he wore a Trump hat last night.
Yeah,
his wife came out wearing like all red and shit last night. Trump red.
Here's my thing. People are talking about how Trump came back, his big comeback and everything, and it's great that I think it's great that he won. But the truth is, it's not that great of a victory. The Democratic Party picked the worst possible candidate they could pick. They picked the worst possible person they could pick for vice president. They ran the worst campaign ever.
Well, she asked the Shapiro guy, and he said no.
Yeah.
She actually asked 2 or 3 people before she got to this retard.
It is my opinion, just my opinion, that the real Democratic Party, the real DNC, the people that actually hold the money, needed to lose this election. They needed to lose this election. They had to lose this election because they have taken on way too many super left nutcases into the party, and that has affected their ability to be able to do anything. If you take a look at the Biden administration's presidency, they didn't do a fucking thing. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything because you had people worried about crazy cat ladies and all kinds of shit that didn't matter. They needed to lose this election so they could come back in 4 years and go, we have to be more center. We need more center candidates in order to win the election. So I think they fucking fumbled this on purpose.
Do you think they'll even have a chance next time? With the House and the Senate all being Republican, and then Trump in, right? Vance is probably going to go next. If they do a good job, you might see Vivek come up.
Well, that's the issue. The issue is this.
You might even see Elon Musk. Somebody asked him, I think Rogan asked him if he would run for office. He said, if I need to.
He can't run for president. He's not a U.S. citizen.
Got it.
Or not a naturally born here U.S. citizen. Well, that's the key, right? The key is this. If you have a Republican Party that is more center to what the country wants, right? Which is, if you look at Tulsi Gabbard, JFK, you look at the dream team that Trump has put together, they're going to be more center to the American dream than they have been before, and the Democrats, they can't bring all that left bullshit to the table again in 4 years and think they're going to win. They're just going to keep losing seats. They're going to keep losing because, again, what America wants is America first.
All they got to do is bring taxes down a little, lower the cost of fuel, and lower the cost of food.
So this may be, when we think about when they talked about the Great Reset, this right here, this election of Trump for 47 could be the Great Reset, where everybody has to start coming to the center.
Not the one they wanted.
No, not the one they wanted, but I think the one that America needed.
A lot of people said that this would completely wipe out the New World Order shit. It would completely do away with the Davos and the evil billionaires, you know, the madmen.
You're never gonna do away with those people in the world that think they know better, right? They're always going to be in the background. Does this mean they have to go underground for a little while? Probably. It's all that momentum they had to get everybody to eat bugs and fucking live in one by ones. That momentum is over.
Didn't we launch a ICBM last night, a test of a intercontinental ballistic missile last night?
I don't know if we did or not.
I believe we did. I think that happened.
That's all right.
And people were saying, that's kind of a weird time to do it. And they're like, well, we had it scheduled right, but November 5th is always the election day. That's just the day.
Yeah. When you say we had it scheduled, it's kind of like...
Russia came out, apparently Putin said, we might be able to negotiate now that Trump is back in office. We can talk about, mellowing things out.
Well, I mean, under Bush, Russia invaded a country. Under Bush, Russia invaded a country. Under Obama, Russia invaded a country. Under Biden, Russia invaded a country. Under Trump, they did not invade.
Did you see Obama
country.
Yesterday saying that Trump, racist and Nazi, and said that the white supremacists are very fine people, still touting that whole fucking line?
I mean, the reality is, Obama's a president as a president was irrelevant, and he's still irrelevant.
That's the only shit that's going to have to move out of the White House is all Obama.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Biden was not running anything. The question will be how. The question for tomorrow, or the next, while this transition is going on, is how many people at the CIA quit, how many people at the FBI quit, how many people at the DOJ quit. Right? That's the real question. How many of these people are going into mandatory retirement? Because the Biden administration used their left-leaning representatives in those organizations to specifically go after Donald Trump for 4 years. They know they're done. So if you're looking for a job, I am sure if you have a college education, the FBI is going to be hiring, the DOJ is going to be hiring. If you want to be a spy, I am sure that the CIA is going to have a whole bunch of billets that it needs filled, because they're going to have to go. Because, again, you have Tulsi Gabbard, JFK, they're going to clean house. It's just going to clean house. This is going to be an interesting time. This might be the best time for Americans, just as far as like...
Kash Patel's coming back in. I think Vivek Ramaswamy's got a position.
I hope Vivek Ramaswamy is... They immediately make him the head of the Department of Education, and then he fires everybody and quits.
Yeah, that's what, Biden, one of the last things I saw from Biden was we've got to really stop Trump. For Christ's sakes, he says he's going to do away with the Department of Education. Fucking let's have at it.
Yeah, there's nothing there. There's nothing that the Department of Education does for schools.
No.
Nothing. Except take money and redistribute it in a way that doesn't help anyone. No, doesn't help anyone. So, get rid of it. Get rid of the IRS. Get rid of it.
They're not going to get rid of the IRS.
Well, they might.
You think they're going to lay off those 75,000 new employees?
Here's the thing. They might not get rid of the IRS. But what they will do is cripple the IRS to the point where I think those employees are fucking done.
Did you hear there was talk of them bringing Ron Paul in and giving him a position somewhere?
It's fucking awesome.
Fuck.
It's awesome. I mean, again, this is here's the thing about here's the dirty little secret, right? If you are a Democrat, right? If you're a Democrat and you're a libertarian, Donald Trump just assembled the fucking libertarian dream team.
Did you see they just put a monument right in front of the Capitol building, a new monument that was...
What is it?
I don't know who he was. Some black dude was showing it this morning. It's Nancy Pelosi's desk with a fucking shit on the top of it. It's like carved. It's like, I don't know if it's metal or concrete, but like it's there. It seems to be real, whatever this is.
That's nice. That's a great one. Yeah, I mean, I am hopeful. I mean, I am sure there's a lot of people out there.
Did somebody really poop on Nancy Pelosi's desk?
I think someone did.
Took a shit on it.
Yeah. I am hopeful for the future. The reality is what he's gonna do is he's gonna open up all the natural resources. Cost of fuel is gonna go down. driving the cost of groceries down. I mean,
yeah, they're saying they're manning the fucking pipes and stuff, all the fucking oil pipelines and shit. All that shit's getting turned back on. Will we see it start happening now?
No.
Or is it not going to happen until January?
It won't happen until he gets in office, because again, okay, a lot of that infrastructure you can't just fire right up immediately. So they're going to be prepping all that to fire it up. But, you know, for example, if you're an oil guy, your biggest problem is your oil leases. And so they really need the president, really need Donald Trump to be in there and be like, open up the leases. And then once he opens the leases up, then it's on like Donkey Kong. They're going to be hiring motherfucking roughnecks. They're going to be out there all over the country, Alaska, out in the Pacific. They're going to be fucking getting oil, natural gas. They're going to drive the prices down. We're going to end up controlling the market, not the Saudis, which will be fucking awesome. I mean, there is nothing that the current Democratic Party brings to the table that even helps the world. Have you seen the big thing right now about how windmills are fucking up whales?
No, I haven't seen the whale thing. But Bear's been saying the windmill thing for a long time. And I heard Elon Musk talking yesterday on Rogan talking about that. He's like, you drive for miles and miles and miles and see nothing but these windmills. Yeah. And we can't recycle them. They have a finite life. By the time they start running, they're almost half of their life is already done. The carbon footprint on those things make the concrete, it takes 18 years to pay off, and they only run for 20 or something.
Yeah, it's actually without the government incentives. So without the government incentives,
without the fakery.
Yeah, without the government incentives, they don't produce enough electricity to help us, and they also don't ever make their money back. If the government wasn't paying those guys to put those windmills in, they wouldn't be worth it. So yeah, it's a fucking waste. It is a complete waste. It's not providing us with shit. Same thing with, solar is better, but if you really take a look at like this, California was right there on the Vegas and California border. They put in a huge solar thing. If you actually look at what's going on out there, it's not producing the energy that they predicted it would produce. So it's basically just people moving money around to become rich. It's no different than the fucking train that goes nowhere in California.
It's never even had a train. Like there's not even been a train on the track. The tracks don't connect. It's never ran.
That's the common problem with putting large amounts of money in a Democrat's pocket. They tend to buy houses and cars with it. They don't fucking invest in the infrastructure that they were paid to do. So, sorry, Democrats. I know you're probably like, you're full of shit. We're the great. You cannot point to a single program. You can't point to anything where you're like, they were successful.
Did you see they foiled a terrorist attack? I believe it was in Nashville yesterday.
You mean they foiled a FBI-inspired...
Two FBI agents or confidential informants. 24-year-old, radicalized him. They said weapons of mass destruction. Somebody sent it to me. I go, they always say weapons of mass destruction, but what does that mean now? And it was a drone with an explosive payload is what he was going to use against a power generating facility.
And I will bet you that the FBI provided all the materials.
Already said it.
So impossible for...
So my question is, because this has happened several times in Nashville, the AT&T building where the bomb went off New Year's or Christmas Eve, right? When that head detective, that lead FBI agent came out with the mayor of Nashville, it was a very weird video, right? That dude's claim to fame was that they foiled a Muslim extremist attack that was going to plant some explosives, right? Well, come to find out, they actually found him in a chat room when he was like 16. At 17, gave him a girlfriend who lived with him for 2 years, and the FBI taught him how to make bombs. The FBI gave him the bomb-making material, and then the FBI stopped him as he was about to plant said bomb.
And if you take a look at a lot
it was a 5-year operation.
If you take a look at a lot of the high-profile FBI cases where they've actually come up and said, we foiled this plan, what you're going to see is, not always, but a good majority of the time, they groom the person into whatever it is they're doing. So
you take weak, disgruntled people.
Yeah, I have no faith in what they're doing.
Give them some pussy. and they'll do anything for the fucking pussy. I mean, there's always pussy involved.
I mean, not always. Sometimes they just manipulate them in other ways. But again, all the high profile cases, every time you will see that they are entrapping those individuals. They're not. It's not like you and me tacked up going into the bank, and the FBI intercepted a phone message, and they're like, "We're in the bank waiting for you, motherfuckers." That's never the case. It's always, hey, you know what'd be cool? What would be cool? It'd be cool if we could rob a bank and pay off all our bills. And then 3 dudes from the FBI show up, and they're like, you know it'd be super cool? If we really robbed a bank. And then you're like, oh, I don't know how to rob a bank. Lucky for you, I'm going to tell you everything you need to do to rob a bank. It's always that way. These motherfuckers are just entrapping people. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's so much more real crime going on all over the country that they actually could be doing, but they don't. They basically, they're looking for low-hanging fruit. If they think they can manipulate somebody into doing a thing that they randomly say, then they'll do it. I mean, they had the big case of the autistic kid that they convinced to fly a plane into the White House.
It's funny you said autistic. I was just thinking here, like they're going after retarded people. I would like to see all these people who they've entrapped. Basically, I'd like to see the IQs on these people.
I mean,
we see them here at the parties, right? We have events and parties, and there's always a dude that comes up while you're talking about nothing to do with guns, and you're like, "Hey man,
what about the machine gun?
What about the machine guns?" I'm like, "Federal agent, not interested. Thank you. Federal agent, go ahead and step away from."
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, again, I don't want to disparage the FBI, because I am sure that there are.
Well, the forward-facing ones are not.
There are probably thousands of hardworking FBI agents out there right now who are doing everything they can to keep America safe.
There are 1,000 that were not.
But unfortunately, their track record is not very good. It's like the DOJ, it's like when the DOJ says that it punishes crimes equally across the board, and Joe Biden is too old and too incognitive to try and get for classified documentations, which was illegal for him because he was the vice president when it happened. And they go after Trump, who was the president, and it's not illegal for Trump to have classified. So they go after the guy that they can't really prosecute for the shit because he was the president. They don't go after the other guy because he's our pal. They don't go after fucking Hunter Biden for any of his shit.
So that's my next question.
It's ridiculous.
Do you think Joe Biden had a chance to pardon Hunter Biden?
No, this is what
Or do you think this is part of the deal with Kamala, and Kamala's going to pardon him?
Kamala can't. Only the president can.
Okay, so let's say Joe Biden did pardon Hunter Biden, and then Trump gets in.
But pardon him for what?
Whatever the crime is.
But they haven't prosecuted him for any. I mean, outside of the gun charge, right? Outside the gun charge, and then he pled out on the. Not campaign financing, but it was a tax thing that he pled out on. So outside of some new charge that the DOJ is not charging him with, what do they have to pardon him? They don't have. There's no reason to pardon.
Meanwhile, they went after Trump for 148 misdemeanors that they called felonies that were all beyond the statute of limitations.
Of course.
So with Trump winning last night, does he still have to go to trial sometime in the next couple of weeks, or go to sentencing or some bullshit?
All that shit's going to disappear.
Yeah.
It's just going to, because it was all smoke and mirrors anyways, right? The reality is the New York attorneys are the New York attorneys will be lucky if they don't get censured, meaning they'll be lucky if they have jobs after this last thing. And once he becomes president, who's going to all that shit's over with. It's done. Those cases are all going to get thrown out. And you're not going to want to, the reality is, if you're the lawyer, right? If I'm the lawyer that was prosecuting for, I don't know, stealing panties, he's now the president, he won. Basically, everything that I was doing was to keep him from being president. So what the fuck am I going to do now, right? He's president. So all those things are going to go away.
Do you think there's going to be repercussions for
that? I don't know. I think, you know what, I kind of hope
quietly there will be.
This is what I think. I think that the individuals that like should be fired are going to self-assassinate themselves, meaning they're going to quit. They're not going to wait to see what Trump's going to do. I also believe that Trump might suggest, whatever the fucking, head of the CIA, or he might suggest some people to fucking retire. I don't think that Trump is going to get in there and do the same thing that the Democrats did. I don't believe he's going to go in there and witch hunt. I think he's going to, because he is on a wave right now. Why waste your time going after these motherfuckers when you can push your agenda, right? Why? I'm just going to be like, RFK, sick him. Ramaswamy, sick him. Tulsi Gabbard, sick him. I'm going to do my thing, right? I've assembled this dream team to where I don't have to go after these fucking fools, because I think they're going to self-assassinate. I think they're all going to quit before you're going to see, before he takes office, you're going to see a lot of fucking civil servants retiring. They're just going to be like, I'm out.
What'd you say about the monkeys?
Oh, that, all the Praetorian Guard, all the monkeys who are rattling the cages, and they're like, we're going to burn this place down, or we're going to leave the country. They're all going to turn into normal people.
So we're just going to be looking around like, where'd all these torn off wings and tails come from?
Yeah, it's going to look just like the Wizard of Oz. Once the fucking witch is dead, all those fucking blue hairs that are talking about burning cities down and shit, they're going to be like, I'm just going to go home and eat tuna fish with my cat. It's done. Because the reasoning is this, right? You're really on a wave, right? You're really on the country basically said, hey, we want law and order reestablished. We want our economy reestablished. So the truth is, there's not going to be a lot of, in my opinion, there's not going to be a lot of leeway for shenanigans. Meaning, I'll use Portland as an example. When they surrounded the federal building in Portland, and they were throwing rockets and fireworks and the feds are inside the building, just kind of like, you're not going to get in here. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think this time, if the left decides that they want to fucking get their curling irons and their fucking pitchforks and try and fucking take something over, they're going to get crushed. That they are going to get crushed. Because again, if you're we'll just say law enforcement guy, right? And you understand what America's all about, and you are a patriot for America. Under the Biden-Harris administration, do you step forward and do your job 150%? No, because you get prosecuted for that. Because that's not what the Biden administration wants. They don't want law and order. Now that Trump is going to be president, and the Republicans look to be taking over the entire House and Senate, you're going to see guys coming forward that are willing to fucking crack a dude in the head.
So you think they're just going to spend the next couple months here just burning and shredding files and shit? Disposing of evidence?
I am sure that the Department of Justice and the FBI are going to... have you ever seen those huge semi-truck shredding machines? Yep. There's going to... I guarantee you, if we were to go to Washington, D.C. right now, they're parked out. They're parked out behind the White House. They're parked at DOJ. They're parked at the FBI, and they're just fucking. Everybody's got their phone out. And they're like, everybody's down in the. Everybody's down right. There's a nerd. Sorry, nerd, but there's a nerd at DOJ, FBI, CIA. There's that one guy that everybody's like, look, no, when I say I want this deleted, it needs to be deleted forever. How do I delete it forever? Can you get on the server? I guarantee you, there's a ton of people that are just trying to cover their shit right now.
So they're in Hillary's bathroom with bleach bit.
Yeah, they're with a hammer and shit. And the guy's like, you sent those messages through my server, bros. It's right here. Destroying your phone doesn't do you any good. So I don't know. I'm not trying to gloat, but this is the right path. We're on the right path now.
Now, you said they should address the mental health issues. What do you mean by that? What should that look like? Are we talking we're opening asylums back up? We're just not going to reward fucking retarded behavior?
I think that the...
You think the transgender shit's over with?
It's end of rewarding retarded behavior.
I've seen some TikToks. I think I saw one this morning, or some short somewhere, right? You've got this maybe a boy, maybe a girl, talking about how I'm an elementary school teacher, and one of the children asked me if I'm a boy or a girl, and that was my opportunity to tell them, well, you're a boy and she's a girl, but I'm kind of in between. And people like, you're a fucking pedophile. You shouldn't have anything to do with children. You can do whatever you want, but you can't do it with the fucking kids.
I mean, I'm all for it. I don't know. You know, the reality is we are in a world where one party believes, and wholeheartedly, some people were celebrating this, that you use the full force of the government to go after a fucking squirrel, right? Not just a squirrel. Like,
how much do you know about this?
The dude had the squirrel for 7 years.
7 years. The raid took place for 5 hours.
Yep. They tore his house up.
There were 12 of them with AR-15s, and they tore the shit. The first thing they did was go to the bedroom. They fucking went through the toilet. They were looking in the toilet. They pulled out every. They vandalized the bathroom. They broke fucking just like when they did my raid. They broke fucking furniture. They fucking took and dumped everything out of the drawers. What are they looking for?
Doesn't matter. Here's the thing: 100% when we talk about the warrant that was signed and them going to.
Did you see the chick that signed the warrant?
The judge? No, I didn't see it.
No, there's like the person that fucking said, okay, we're gonna do this warrant. She looks like a state trooper. She's wearing this green uniform that's got a fucking leather strap, and there's a picture of her right next to Hitler, and it looks like fucking a female version of Hitler. Well, again, Jack Spirko pulled it up yesterday on our live.
Again, the minute, like, real human beings, the minute you showed up to my workplace, I'm sitting at my desk thinking about all the things I have to not do today. And you show up at the workplace and you're like, hey, we got a fucking high-risk warrant we're going to execute. We're going to go get this go get this guy. And the minute you say he's harboring a squirrel, we got to go get it. I don't know how none of them just looked at and started laughing. We're going after what? A fucking squirrel. You want us to bring guns? I mean, none of it, not a single bit of it makes sense. Every single person that showed up that day, every single one of them should be fired. There shouldn't be any questions. There should be they should just be fired. You're fired because you are fucking ridiculous. Just fired.
You think there will be repercussions?
No, maybe.
So the same day this happened, apparently.
Because it was too famous.
Same day this happened, also in the same area of New York, apparently. Guy, illegal, and why are we calling them migrants? They're not migrants. Illegal alien, fucking rapes a teenage girl who had already raped another teenage girl and was out on own release for this.
That's the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is fucking insane. They're just insane. They go out and
the squirrel had 3 million followers on social media. The guy, the
squirrel's got way more followers now.
You know that the dude didn't know that the squirrel had been euthanized. A media crew got a hold of him looking for his side of the story, and they told him that the squirrel was put down. It had been going for 5 or 6, 7 days, and it never really went public until they found out the squirrel was euthanized. I'm sure it was out there, but we didn't hear about it. It wasn't public facing as much as it is. And he said, they came after me for having a wild animal without a permit. I've had it for 7 years. I filed the permit. I filed the paperwork. I'm trying to register the squirrel as an educational animal. They have a nonprofit. There's some other 100-some animals in captivity that they're rehabilitating and using for educational purposes. The squirrel and the raccoon is what they seized. They euthanized both animals.
Yes.
Now, after 5 hours of tearing the fucking house apart, the squirrel, someplace in this process, bit one of these people. Now, 6, 7 days go by, and they say, well, we don't know if this squirrel has rabies. We have to euthanize it because the only way to test for rabies is from the brain. So if your dog bites somebody and does not have a rabies tag, they chop the head off and they harvest the fucking brain from the dog. That's how they test for rabies, is in the brain. This guy had been making posts. I went back and looked at them every day. He's like, we're hopeful to get Peanut the squirrel back. We should have him in a day or two. This is just a misunderstanding. We're very hopeful. We have a GoFundMe. I've done all my paperwork. I have a lawyer. And then somebody from some news company says, "How do you have any comments about Peanut the squirrel being euthanized?" They didn't even know.
Good news. Good news is those people are now instant millionaires. They're going to get, the city of New York is going to get their ass sued. They have they're not going to have any leg to stand on what or why they did what they did. And so they're going to end up paying them fucking millions of dollars. So thank you, taxpayers.
Some lady out of Texas said it was her right to report the squirrel. I'm sure this has been going on and on. These animal rights people are crazy. Anytime I post a video about rabbits, people just show up about how you shouldn't have rabbits.
Again, forget about her.
You know about her?
It doesn't matter. Forget about this woman from Texas who reported the squirrel that has 300,000 followers.
3 million.
Okay, 3 million followers. Forget about her. She doesn't matter. She is fucking completely irrelevant. What you have to understand is this is about the machine that took that report and weaponized it into a fucking a contest where 2 animals are killed for no reason. The reality is New York City should have said, mind your fucking business. There's nothing wrong with that squirrel. He's got a YouTube channel. Too bad.
This is the same as the police showing up and shooting your dog.
I know it is, but again, it's the same thing. Yeah. Well, the difference is they used. I mean, the reality is when you think about it, they used the full weight of the government against a fucking squirrel. A squirrel. I don't care if the reality is that squirrel could have had the plague. There is no goddamn reason for them to do what they did.
Correct.
None.
So this lady says it's my right to have reported it. Since then, within under a day, she's had to remove all of her social medias. She's had to lock down everything. And she says that people are coming to her house and threatening her. She's going to have to move. Good.
That's good, because you're a fucking...
But the truth is, this isn't about the squirrel. This is about the wife had an OnlyFans page. He and her have an OnlyFans page. I've not looked at it. I don't know what it is. I assume that it's probably, porn, adult type stuff. And that's what this is about. This chick, good-looking female, tatted out, all kinds of tattoos and shit. And the chick who says she reported her, fucking just Karen. Fucking got the Karen haircut. Busy, has nothing in her life, so has to be involved in other people's lives.
Well, again, I don't care. The truth is, I don't care about the Karen, right? Karens are irrelevant unless you let them be relevant. And her making this call and getting a response from New York City in the way that's just a fucking celebration for Karens. The real response is, fuck you, mind your own business. And if she has to move because of what she did, good. She needs to learn a lesson. She needs to learn, especially from fucking Texas. She needs to learn a lesson to mind her own goddamn business. Stay out of fucking other people's business. No one was being harmed. The animals were well taken care of. That bitch does deserve to have to fucking move. I mean, I don't think that people that like threat of violence or anything like that. But again, she needs to know the ramifications of what she did, because what she did was fucking horrible. Wasn't even human. Fucking horrible.
Those cops that did that warrant, they'll have some kind of veil of fucking security. Nothing will happen to them.
You know what?
They'll have immunity somehow.
I would say on a normal Tuesday, probably yes. Meaning if it was John Squirrel and they just came in here and raided and took your squirrel and killed it, I would say yes, that no one would know about it. But the problem is, again, you said it, 3 million followers. Donald Trump mentioned the squirrel.
It's rain.
Damn, it is pouring. Donald Trump mentioned the squirrel. I don't think these guys are going to have much immunity. I think that there's going to be, several of them soon will be looking for other jobs. Maybe not because New York City does the right thing and closes that department, but maybe because the same reason this chick feels like she has to move, that every cop in the city should be laughing at those fucking turds. There's just no reason. There is no possible reason that you could because you could stand in front of me right now and go, what we did was justified. You just can't.
Did they have a raccoon also?
Yeah, they had a raccoon too.
So the raccoon was actually a rescue.
So was the squirrel.
Yeah, kind of. The squirrel was found 7 years ago. Mom died. Mom was hit on the road. There was a baby squirrel. He picked the baby squirrel up, fed the baby squirrel with a fucking eyedropper, and the baby squirrel grew up inside the house. The raccoon was in some manner injured, and they actually tried to release the squirrel. They released the squirrel into the backyard, and the squirrel just was not a wild animal. It didn't know anything other than human beings. The raccoon was being rehabilitated to be put back into the wild. I don't know why these two animals happened to be at the house. I don't know if all the other animals were there or at a different location. I'm not clear on that.
And here's the other thing about that. You know, the department is like animal conservation, whatever, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, you're not conserving shit.
If you're in any way connected to an organization that's like animal conservation, and your go-to thing is to kill the animals, that is the most Nazi thing you could ever do. I bet they have a sign over their door that says "Work will set you free."
I've heard stories of local people here that get the fawns, right? They'll have a deer on the farm, and they'll hand feed the deer hand feed the deer. And then a wildlife guy comes over and sees the deer in the driveway and realizes that this is a friendly deer. And the first thing they want to do is take the deer and euthanize the deer. And it always turns into a fight. Every few years you hear these stories.
As it should. Who fucking cares?
Who cares what?
That's the thing. Who cares? If the deer is eating corn, out of a dog bowl out behind some farm or something,
who cares?
Who cares?
I'm with you.
Who fucking cares?
Correct.
What does that do? How is that harming anything or anyone?
I'm with you.
It's fucking bullshit.
It's not like it's going to make all the deer friendly or some shit.
And even
it's just authority.
Even if all the deer do become friendly, it's just going to make hunting season that much easier.
It's just fucking authority, man.
Yeah, I know it is. It's just the color authority, and people allow their heads to get so big that they just can't rationalize the real world anymore. Like just because somebody wrote it down on a piece of paper, that don't make it right. It just don't make it right. It just doesn't make it right. Adolf Hitler killed thousands and thousands of Jews because he wrote it down on a piece of paper. That don't make it right. I tell you right now, if Germany would have stood up and said, you know what? They're still Germans, that would have been the end of it. But they didn't. They didn't. They allowed him to do what he did, and hundreds and thousands of Germans were culpable in the fact of what they did.
Well, that's what the left is saying is about to happen here.
Because the reality is, Adolf Hitler didn't kill a single Jew.
How long do you think until Trump rounds up all the fucking liberals?
He's not going to round up any liberals.
Correct.
Nothing. There's not a. Here is the thing.
He didn't round up any liberals last time.
Donald Trump has already been president, guys. None of that happened. None of it's going to happen again. It's all fictitious lies that the left party in this country keeps.
He didn't even jail Hillary Clinton.
It wasn't even an issue. Like, he wasn't like, Department of Justice, what we can do to get Hillary Clinton in jail. She was a non-player. That's what I'm saying. I think that's what I'm saying about him being elected again. All these people who are like Miley Cyrus, secretary, the damn 4-star general. Oh, if Trump gets elected, I'm going to get court-martialed.
You should be court-martialed.
He actually should be tried for treason, because what he did was treason. He is the biggest fucking Benedict Arnold we've seen in a long time. But the reality is he's irrelevant. He's irrelevant. I don't think Trump will even, he'll be like, Miley who? What? He's got more important shit to do than worry about some fucking has-been general who was a fucking cuck. Fuck Miley.
So do you think he should be punished?
Do I think he should be? Yeah, I think that he should be tried for treason. I think the Department of Justice...
So jailed or hung?
Not Donald Trump. The Department of Justice should... Or I don't know if... Wait a minute. I think it would have to be a military court of inquiry. So it would have to be a military court. But he should be tried for treason. He openly admitted treason. If I would have done that at any given time... If I would have done that any given time in my career, I would have been tried for treason. at the very least. So yes, he should be held to the same standards that every other fucking person in the Department of Defense is held to. Same standards. No different than when, when Lance Corporal Benotz misplaces some classified information, he gets crucified. He gets crucified. When they do it, it just happens. Fuck those guys. They should be held to the same standard. That is the problem with this country. We don't hold everybody to the same standard.
Did you see him saying that a bunch of the voting machines were offline, and a bunch of the locations had bomb threats emailed into them, but they traced them back, and their Russian was sending random bomb threats to specific locations out within the United States.
Again, the issue becomes sometimes we make a big deal out of something that's not that big of a deal. For example, like a video of ballot boxes on fire.
Lots of them, actually.
Yeah, but again,
in 3 states.
Let's say they lit 100 ballot boxes on fire. That is not going to change the election. It won't affect this country is too big. It's not going to affect the election, and the amount of ballots that were in that box is not going to change what happens.
How are there even ballots in boxes if they're using computers and fucking machines?
Well, because that was early polling. You could put that stuff in there. And I actually saw a video of a dude. He takes his phone and he's in the polling place, and then he goes to the screen.
And it changed.
Donald Trump
changed to Kamala.
It didn't for the first 3 times. It didn't do anything, and then he hit it again, and it changed to Kamala. So
did you see people saying that Trump wasn't even on the first page? You had to go through 5 pages to find Trump.
That right there, that should be illegal. There's only 2 people running for president. So it doesn't matter whether you go.
And what about the high court saying that RFK couldn't be removed from the ballot even though he's not running? You had that happen in several states too.
Yeah, it's actually good. RFK shouldn't have been removed from the ballot because the Democratic Party was unwilling to do a runoff in the first place. So as far as I'm concerned, they should have put every possible Democratic candidate on the ballot to run, because the Democratic Party, what they did was illegal. Kamala Harris, at no time did anyone ever vote to put her in a single position that she's ever held.
So what do you think her future is?
I think you're going to see Kamala quietly fade into the background. They might drag her out. They might, maybe not. Because again, I do believe that the Democratic Party set this election up to lose. So I think they're going to be like, maybe California will hire her again so she can prosecute more people for fucking smoking marijuana and put them in jail over their actual dates so they can fight homeland wildfires. But yeah, I think she's done. She's done.
Just gonna be a newscaster somewhere.
I don't even know why would you. She can't publicly speak. She cannot publicly speak. The reality is she has no victories on her belt whatsoever that make her, at least with Barack Obama, right? He has a win on his belt. He's got a heavyweight belt. He can come out and be like, why aren't you voting for Camilla? But
yeah, he's fine up until talking about his chef.
Well, I mean, of course.
Did you see?
You know what is funny? Did you see? The interesting thing think about something we talked about before. The FBI raids Diddy's house. They take all the stuff that Diddy has. They put it in their vault, their warehouse. It's interesting.
Who came out for Kamala?
That all the people on the Diddy list, also came out for Kamala Harris. I wonder why they did that. I wonder what compelled them to come out and make statements in support of Kamala Harris. It probably couldn't have anything to do with the blackmail information that the FBI is currently holding against all those stars.
So what do you think happens with that list and all those people now?
I think as far as that's concerned, that over the next 4 years we're going to see a lot of that stuff come out, right? we're going to see a lot of that information start to trickle out, and you might see some prosecutions of people, maybe.
Maybe the Epstein list too.
Well, the Epstein list is already out there. It's not the list. It's the, 100 computers and 100 hard drives that the FBI took out. It's the videos. They have videos. They have videos of everything that went on that island. So all the fucking dirty shit that was going on that island, Epstein recorded. So the FBI has all those videos. So who cares about the list? I will say this, right? Because Chris Rock is on the list. The list is not a crime. Going to Epstein Island was not a crime. At no point. So publishing the list doesn't constitute a crime. There's video of the crimes that were being committed on that island. The FBI, Department of Justice, currently hold those videos. No different than what's going on with P. Diddy. There's video evidence of crimes that were being committed in the presence of P. Diddy. The FBI currently holds those videos.
Think they'll come out?
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what the Trump presidency does.
Did you hear about the dildos?
What about dildos?
So the same people apparently, or we're not. I don't know who does it, but a bunch of vibrators were found on a DHL airplane, and one of these things caught fire.
Okay.
They were explosives. The batteries that were in the vibrators that were heading to, I think they said Poland, and also to Iran, just like the pagers were planted. They have now sent these cases, these massive amounts of vibrators that also have explosives inside the vibrators. That's the story for this morning. Look up exploding vibrators, see what comes up, or exploding dildos or something.
I mean, it definitely sounds like a war crime, but maybe the point was less about individual deaths and more about aircraft going down.
Maybe.
Right? How do you get?
Because one of these things did catch fire. That's how this whole thing got caught up.
Yeah. How do you get your explosives on an airplane? Do a big case of dildos. Who's gonna?
Bear said we're in the wrong business, man. We're just trying to get better rates on shipping to ship medical supplies, and they're flying shit DHL.
What's funny is we were coming back. We were coming back from Iraq. First time I was coming back from Iraq with 3rd Platoon, and we're going through the first customs stop, and the first customs stop is run by MPs, and they do a cursory shakedown, not really anything detailed. You do the detailed one through the Navy, and they're doing their cursory thing. And when you do it, you take all your sea bags and you pile up all your sea bags on these pallets. So you have these huge pallets with sea bags stacked like sandbags, and there's a bunch of pallets, right? It's not just you. It's not just your guys, but there's a bunch of pallets. One of my guys comes over and he's like, "Man, I think there's a bomb in that pallet." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it's fucking going nuts over there." And I go over there, and you can hear something going on. Yeah, there's something going on in this pallet. And I go to the MP. The MP comes over. The MP comes over, and he's like, oh, "Shit." He yells at whoever. He's like, "Yeah, you need to come over here. We need to take this pallet apart." And
so we get down to the individual bag and
the individual bag, and he's like, "I'm like, what is it, man?" Because I wasn't thinking, because again, we're coming from a war zone, and it's nothing in my group. It's nothing but dudes, right? And so he's like, "It's a dildo." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "It's a dildo," and I'm like, "Hey, are you sure?"
Did we get to see said dildo?
I go, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "It's always a dildo." And they take it apart, and sure as shit, it was a dildo that turned on.
Did it belong to a female at least?
It belonged to a female.
Did they call her to claim her bag?
They called her and made her claim her bag and everything. Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was a big deal. I think they even confiscated the dildo.
Okay.
I can't find anything on it except for in 2011, a guy hid bombs inside of 3 dildos and gave them to his ex-girlfriends.
Okay, Bear reported on this morning, so I don't know where it's coming from, but it's real. It's out there.
Yeah.
All right, let's pause for a minute.
Pause it.
We're back now.
Are we back?
So what do you think happens over the next, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? No, we got all of December shit. So we got 2 months.
January, I think. Yeah.
Is it January 1 when this
nothing happens?
Nothing. They're not going to try to kill him anymore?
I don't think so.
What do you think Russia does?
I think they're still in shock. Hey, guess what, America? You want to know something interesting? Something did happen. Here's an interesting note.
North Korea's.
No. Donald Trump was just elected president. He is not the president of the United States yet. What did Putin just do?
I think we can make a deal. I think is what he just said.
Putin's ready to throw the towel in. And so we're going to make a deal. We're going to make a peace deal before he's even president. That would be awesome.
I bet those incursions into Russia from those drones coming from Ukraine, I bet that shit all stops. So do you think we're still going to World War III?
Okay.
Because J.D. Vance is real on this fucking Israel shit.
Okay, so we have, as a proxy war with Ukraine, we have shown how terrible the Russian military is, right? So in this realm of the world, we've made the Russian because of Ukraine, because of the sacrifices of the Ukrainian people. The entire world knows what a paper tiger Russia is. That their fucking equipment sucks, their training sucks, and it's not coming to fruition. The reality is, Ukraine, the conflict in Ukraine, with a properly trained army, that fucking thing should have lasted 15 minutes. Ukraine didn't have a real army; they were relying on militias. So to have Ukraine punch Russia in the face the way they have, granted, we've given them a lot of cool gear. It's still the Ukrainians who are fucking out there doing the fighting. The entire world knows what a fucking paper tiger Russia is. So technically, we have done that thing. Iran and China are also on the chopping block. Israel is still punching Iran in the face, trying to get them to start some shit with us. So do we end up fighting in Iran? I think that the conflict in Iran is, there's no way around it. It's going to happen. The question is, because China is kind of in the same boat that the Russians are, do the Chinese attack Taiwan? I don't think so. Not with President Trump.
Do you know that Putin went to Bill Clinton and said, we want to be part of NATO? And Clinton said, I think I can make that happen. And then came back almost immediately and was like, said, no way.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to fucking open that up.
Well, the reality is, politically, so if you look at the political machine that is the United States, this war in Ukraine we created. We created it because when Gorbachev did what he said he was going to do, reducing the amount of nuclear weapons that are being proliferated within the Soviet Union, and allowing the wall to come down in Germany without firing a shot, Gorbachev did what he said he was going to do with Reagan.
But that kind of fucked Russia. I mean, that was not good for their side.
Yeah, no. Again, they negotiated properly. When they negotiated that deal, the deal was, I'll do this, but NATO needs to stop expanding. And we were like, okay.
Sure, bro.
And as soon as he did what he needed to do,
fingers crossed,
we kept expanding NATO. We've been attempting to pick a fight with Russia ever since the wall came down.
And let's be real, that wasn't in Russia's best interest.
It probably was.
You think so?
Yeah, at the point,
because it crumbled after that.
Here's the thing. At the point that Reagan was making the negotiations to have all that happen, the Soviet Union, as a predominant world power, was already crumbling. It was a paper mache house that was ready to fold. That's why it folded so fast. Like, it folded so fast, they left nuclear weapons in countries that didn't know what to do with nuclear weapons. It folded super fast because they had run out of money. They couldn't afford to keep the Soviet Union together anymore. So the reality is, from just a Russian perspective, like if Mother Russia, it was better for Mother Russia that they cut all the satellite countries off, right? It turns out it was better for all those other countries too, to start their own economies and become their own, their own countries. But it was better for.
When we say we're going to give $100 billion to Ukraine, right? It doesn't deposit into a bank account somewhere, right? What that is, I heard recently, we give them $100 billion in old expired equipment and such, and old technology.
It's a little bit of both.
We give them $60 billion worth of Abrams tanks, and that's part of that $100 billion. Is that not correct?
No, it's a little bit of both. They give money and assessed value on equipment, because like all the first responders, so all the first responders in Ukraine are paid by us. All the police department, fire department,
pensions, everything,
all that, we pay for all that. We pay to keep all that stuff going.
Meanwhile, we're not paying shit for our fucking people.
I'm sure that we're paying for. I'm sure we're paying the checks on all the military. We're not writing the checks for their military, but we're sending them money and being like, keep the military running. And Zelensky's like, okay, but I'm still going to buy this mansion in Florida with some of this money. But we are paying for all that. But we also assess that value based off equipment. So we do give them. Here's the interesting thing, John. The interesting thing is when you say we give them old equipment, we are giving them a lot of old equipment. We're giving a lot of modern. When it first started, so think about this. When it first started, we were giving them a ton of cutting edge military equipment. When it first started,
javelins
and laws, we were giving them tier 1 equipment. But come to find out that the Russian military was such a fucking paper tiger that we didn't need to do that. Like we can use 1960s technology to attack the modern Russian army because their shit is so bad. Their stuff is so terrible that we're using Hawk missiles that were developed in the 50s to shoot down their aircraft because those Hawk missiles are good enough. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to send a fucking Patriot battery system over there. While a Patriot battery system is fucking awesome and does a lot of damage, we can use old technology to do it. We're sending them 105 millimeter howitzers from World War II. And the Russian military their shit sucks that fucking bad. I mean, think about this. Okay, just think about this for a second. We sent them F-16s.
Yeah, but there's a huge spread on what an F-16 is.
We sent them F-16s. Okay. You're still talking about a piece of technology that was developed in the 70s. Like
right.
When the Air Force is
there's also a modern F-16.
But even still, even with a modern F-16, when the Air Force is stacking aircraft on top of each other, right? About this is the one I want to use to this is the one I don't use. The F-16s way in the bottom.
Yeah, we're giving them the ones we don't use.
We sent F-16s to Russia, and the Russians can't do anything about it. Like, I mean, they're actually flying sorties. Those F-16s are flying into Russia, dropping bombs.
Who's piloting those planes?
Ukrainians.
Yeah,
Ukrainians probably. Yeah.
We brought them here and put them through our program.
Yeah, that's why, when people complain about how long it took, right? How long it took to get those F-16s. It wasn't the length of time to get the aircraft.
The guys
length of time to train. Yeah, because what most people don't understand is Russian aircraft are designed very 1940-ish. Meaning they're still
cables.
Those guys were flying shit that still had cables in it. F-16 is all computer generated or all computer run, so there is a learning curve to go from a Russian aircraft to an F-16. So the reason why it took so long is because we had to train the pilots in order to be able to fly the aircraft effectively. Yes, you could do like the Japanese did in World War II. And give somebody a 10-minute class on how to fly a plane and never tell them how to land because you knew they weren't going to make it. But we needed these F-16s to work.
Yeah, and those old planes killed a lot of people.
So these F-16s, again, old technology. Like for example, if the balloon went up right now with China, F-16s wouldn't even be in the 10th wave. Right, they'd still be at the Reserve National Guard base in California, chilling, flying, cap for America. We just sent them against Russia. Russia can't do a goddamn thing about those aircraft. Can't shoot them down. Can't do anything.
They don't have anything.
I mean,
or they're just not deploying it.
They're not vulnerable. Meaning, if those F-16s go up against certain SAM sites or whatever, there's a possibility that it could get shot down. But the Russians are just so outclassed with technology, and the Russians don't train their soldiers properly. They don't train their fucking... it's a shit show. The Chinese know this. The Chinese have the same exact problem that the Russians do. Same exact problem. The only thing the Chinese have going for them that the Russians don't is the Chinese could throw 1 million men into the fight right now and lose them all and not be a problem.
And probably be happy about it.
Right? Not be a problem. The Russians can't... even though the Russians are coming close to 1 million man loss, the Chinese, the only thing they have going for them is they have numbers. But again, their equipment still has all the same shortfalls that the Russian equipment has. I mean, hell, their number one fighter is the same number one fighter that the Russians have, and it's afraid of F-16s. So, F-22 Raptor? F-22 Raptor is going to shoot down the fucking number one Chinese plane faster than they can even get them off the ground. So that's the thing, is we've crippled Russia with... We crippled Russia kind of with technology, but it's old technology. We can use old technology against them because their shit it's worthless. You know, that the videos of the videos of when you see one of their tanks getting hit, they're losing tank crews at an exponential rate. Okay, so they're losing tank crews at every time a Russian tank gets hit, that crew is killed.
Would this war be different if we were fighting on Russia's territory?
Maybe. It might be different if they were defending the motherland. The Russians are really good at defense and falling back. Not so hot in the attack.
But if they're not even able to fight in Ukraine against the technology that's there, and we were to fight on Russian territory with our equipment, they don't have anything that's going to... If you sent 35s in there and...
The only thing they have... The only thing that Russia has right now that is a threat is nuclear weapons. And they just had their latest ICBM blow up on the launch pad.
So apparently North Korea launched an ICBM, and it's like almost a joke. It's so big. It's like the size of the Empire State Building or something. And
it didn't work very well either.
Yeah, I think it didn't go very well.
Yeah. So again, you have these. The world is becoming so much smaller. It's just becoming very small. The Ukraine war is actually making the world super small, because you have these places in the world. You know, I'll say Iran, China, North Korea.
Apparently,
Russia.
There's a lot of French fighting in a lot of Foreign Legion that's supposed to be in Ukraine right now.
They're not. Yes, but they're not. They are technically French because they were in the Foreign Legion.
Correct.
They're actually Ukrainians who were in the Foreign Legion who
went back. Okay.
The Foreign Legion. The Foreign Legion actually, when the war started, the Foreign Legion actually was like, okay, you guys can go home. Like the and they, from what I understand, they lost a considerable amount of troops because these guys went home to fight. So they're French citizens.
So the Foreign Legion doesn't have anybody else there other than Ukrainians?
They're Ukrainians.
They released them. They're not there on behalf of the Foreign Legion.
They're on behalf of the French. No.
Probably some of the best trained though.
Probably longest, right? They're probably the longest trained because they've been doing shit in the Legion for a long time. So I don't know. It is what it is. But when we talk about those countries that I just named, they all have the same fucking problem that Russia has, to a certain extent. North Korea. When you think about North Korea is even worse.
So how do we not have that problem?
How do we not have the same problem? Because we're a fucking capitalist country that elects presidents of the United States. That elects presidents.
Who's near peer to us?
No one. There's no near peer to the United States. I know. You're gonna have a bunch of these fucking hacks that are gonna be like, "Oh my god!" But no one is near peer. No one is not even. There's no one.
How about technologically wise?
Nobody.
Japan?
Nope.
Think about Japan.
Think about this. Just think about this. Who's buying whose equipment? Right? We don't buy French Mirages. They buy our aircraft.
So you think Trump's going to be able to shut down the industrial military complex, or do you think they even care to?
No, they're not going to. He can't.
He doesn't even want to.
He can't. It's the one thing the issue that people that Americans really have to come to terms with. Okay, I don't think we have to be in forever wars. We don't have to be in forever wars. But what America...
For the United States to be great, we have to have wars.
No, but what they have to understand is that machine has to keep churning. Because that is what is keeping our economy afloat right now. It's the billions of dollars that are going to Ukraine and coming back and buying Northrop missiles.
Are you going to see a draft?
No, we're not going to see a draft.
Are you going to see World War III?
I don't think they will call it World War III. We are going
Who's going to be involved?
We are going to be involved in the sense of I am sure that we are going to have to fight Iran. I think North Korea is going to do something that is going to... North Korea is going to do something that's going to make Japan very mad.
And then Japan's just going to fucking end North
Korea.
Korea.
And then Japan is going to end North Korea.
We won't even have to be involved.
We'll get involved. We'll get involved just like we're involved right now in the middle, in Israel's war, right?
Apparently North Korea just launched some missile, not the one we're talking about,
Yeah.
but they launched something that proved that they could actually hit California.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see it. I don't know. I do know that they did recently do a missile test.
How many could they launch?
And
They could hit, how many hit California?
Yeah, again, it doesn't matter.
What are they?
It's
2? Surely we're going to shoot those fucking things down.
That's the thing that people never, they never take into consideration. Like when they're like, oh, well, I think we do from a certain perspective because the Department of Defense.
I think we just perpetrate it and make it sound worse than it is.
The Department of Defense has to say that the Russian T-80 tank is probably better than the M1 Abrams. They have to say that because they want to build the new M1 Abrams.
We let a ship full of model rocket engines hit the fucking coast of North Korea, and now they can put a bomb together that'll fucking reach us.
It's just the way you have to do it. If people were really if people are really thinking, right? Like if you think out loud right now and you go, wait a minute, did we just send F-16s to go fight the Russians? We sent old F-16s to go fight the Russians. What do we need Raptors for? That's the problem, right? Because that happened under Jimmy Carter. Under Jimmy Carter, there was some question about what we really need these weapons for if we're so much better than them already. And that's kind of what killed Jimmy Carter's presidency because he wanted to build houses and not fucking bombs. You have to keep that military industrial machine fed.
You got to kill some children to be able to house some children.
I mean, that's just the way it is. Unfortunately or fortunate, America has been chosen to be the police officers of the world. And in order to do that, we're going to build fucking Raptors. We're going to build...
Do you know we just went through all of our Pacific Islands and shit, all those World War II air bases and shit out in the middle of nowhere that were fucking taken over like jungles like I Am Legend?
Yeah, we're rebuilding them.
And we fucking completely cleaned them out and they're operational now?
Yeah, we're rebuilding them.
Where are we going to use those? Where are we going?
In the Pacific? That's a fight against China.
Are we going to fight China?
Again,
I don't think so, man. I don't think China wants to fight.
Again, John, what did I just say? You have to create the idea of the fight in order to spend the money. How much money did they spend to clean those bases off? What aircraft are we going to build and forward position on those bases? How many troops are we going to put on those bases? That's keeping the military industrial machine moving. It's no different than Russia attacking Ukraine because they believe that Ukraine is going to be absorbed into NATO.
So what happens? What's the war in Iran look like?
Oh, it looks like the war in Iraq, or probably not even the war in Iraq. It looks like the war in. It looks like the liberation of Kuwait. We're talking 24 hours of fucking.
Is Palestine still there?
Well, I mean, like as in the name of the beachfront resort that the Israelis are going to open. Yes.
Yeah, the land between Israel and Lebanon, being Palestine, right?
Yeah. Well, kind of.
Where are the people that were there? That open air prison camp. Where did that go?
They're all over the place.
Did they bulldoze them and push them in the ocean? Now it's just raw land, and Israel's going to expand its territory.
It's still a fucking war zone. It's still getting pacified, but yeah, it's not. It's never going to be Palestine again.
And has Israel rolled
Palestinians will not be able to move and settle into Palestine without the direct permission from the Israeli government.
Why would the Israeli government give them permission?
That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a fucking resort. It's going to be an Israeli resort called Palestine.
Or a forward base.
Not a forward base. It's a real city.
So are Israelis fighting in Lebanon?
Yes, so Israelis have crossed into Lebanon.
Are they going to push everything?
Which is are
they going to expand and push Lebanon out?
Which is, again, a sovereign country that they have illegally crossed into and are attacking. Are they going to push? I do not believe.
Are they going to hold territory? Expand their border?
I mean, they might hold territory and expand a little bit of border, but not a lot. Not a lot. I mean, the issue here is the Israelis, again, the Israelis can handle anything in that. They can handle any type of localized fight in that part of the world. So
to include Iran?
Not Iran. Iran, if they go gun to gun, we will step in and we will take over the fight. The Israelis are not going to lose those types of soldiers.
Did you see the chicks in Iran taking their burqas off?
Yeah, that's kind of a common thing. They've been doing it. They've actually been doing it.
Did you see the chick get naked?
No, but I
fucking got naked. Took her shit off, got naked. Apparently she's like 18, 19, college student. What's going to happen to her?
I don't know. But they've actually been doing it for quite a while since that girl was killed. They've been silently protesting by taking their burqas off.
Well, the girl was killed. You would think some more would be killed over this.
No, the government is kind of like, they're in a very precarious place right now because, again, like I said, they can't afford for any civil unrest because what's going on.
So the only reason I'm talking about this is I watch Patrick Bet-David, right?
Okay.
He's from Iran. As a youngster, became a refugee into a German refugee camp. From Germany, his parents migrated here to the United States,
Yep.
And he grew up.
A lot
here,
of Persians.
Went in. He joined the army. Was with, I believe he was at Airborne, in some unit with Airborne, and now he is who he is, right? Mm-hmm. And he just had on a guy who is exiled from Iran, but is poised to take over as the next leader of Iran.
Okay.
And he is very, Iran should do things differently. We need to get rid of this fucking government that the CIA has basically put in, and Iran needs to go back to how Iran was in the 70s, right? It was a beautiful place. There were colleges. People didn't, and basically he's not saying get rid of all the Muslim traditions, but be more like America is what he's saying, basically.
Yeah.
Bet-David just had him on. He did like a 3-hour interview, I think, yesterday, day before. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Persia. Okay, so the thing you kind of have to look at you have to look at a little bit different. Is Iran, again, while they have the mullahs that are running the country, so it's under Muslim law. Persia is different than the Middle East. It's not the same. They are not the same. They are not the same culturally as Saudi Arabia is, or Kuwait. They're different. It's Persia. It's different. And again,
when a U.S. citizen goes to like Saudi Arabia, right? Does she have to wear a burqa out in public?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to wear a burqa in public unless you are in some of the areas that they specifically have to where you can't. Or you don't have to. I mean, again, there are tourist areas in all those countries where you're like secluded, right? Where you can be kind of normal. But if they're just out fucking mooling around downtown Saudi Arabia, they're wearing a burqa.
I saw something. Somebody said the other day that was kind of interesting. Said all these people worried about abortion rights. They better be more worried about Sharia law, because you have areas that are fucking guided by Sharia law over in Europe, over in UK and England and such, and you have areas in the United States where the whole entire town council is fucking controlled by people who fucking operate under Sharia law.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not worried about that here. I mean, because hell, the damn Somalis in Minnesota
just voted for Trump.
Just fucking came out all for Trump. So I'm not. I mean, the great thing about America, is kind of something I talk about all the time about people don't realize how big America is, how huge America is. Even people that live here don't really understand. Like if you're a New York City person and born and raised in New York City, you have no fucking clue how big the United States is. People just don't understand how big the United States is. And it is a great melting pot in the sense of there are people everywhere. And it only takes a little bit of time for you can say it's like a disease where you catch the American disease. You could come from fucking the Middle East in some totally Sharia law controlled, super conservative or super hardcore Muslim area and be put here in the United States. And if you're not held on too tightly, if you're not wrapped up very quickly and held on and secluded, it's not long before you are westernized, where you start to see the reality of the world and you don't think on those lines anymore. So we are a giant melting pot.
Could you imagine having that freedom and then having to go back?
Terrible. Yeah, that would be some people choose that because some people need the structure, right? We can't really decide. Like it's no different than you think about the Saddam Hussein. Is Iraq and the world better off without Saddam Hussein?
No,
not at all. He kept that region semi-secure for the entire time he was there. Is the world better off? Is Libya better off without Gaddafi?
Nope.
Because he knew his people and he knew how he had to rule. That's how he ruled, and that's how he kept them from the biggest slave trade market in the world. So I'm not for or against that, but that's the lifestyle that some people have to live. They have to have that kind of structure. So you know.
So what do you think happens in the next 90 days here?
Nothing.
Too soon to see a change?
Yeah, too soon. I don't think the monkeys understand what happened, because I feel like the really hardcore left really thought that somehow she was going to win, not realizing that. I don't know. It's hard for me to say that because hindsight's 20/20, but I did predict this a long time ago. The campaign that she ran was a losing campaign. She had zero fucking victories on the campaign trail. It was more of
shouldn't have been there at all.
Yeah, it was more about how many gaffes could she do. Zero victories. So I don't understand how anybody could have thought that she could win. And in my head, I get it. There's some really deluded people out there in the world. I don't even know how you could have went to the polls. I'm not saying vote for Donald Trump. I can completely understand coming from a perspective where you're like, I don't morally align with Donald Trump, but I certainly can't see how you would go to the polls and vote for her. That's just, it's just asinine because she was terrible in California. She was terrible as a VP. Why suddenly she's going to be a good president?
Well, you're finally unburdened by what has been.
Yeah, I'm unburdened. It's nice. It doesn't matter.
So when do we see some change? When do we see the gas prices? Like gas prices aren't even bad right now, right?
They're still up.
When do we see them come down? When do we see? When do we see something?
You're not going to see any.
When do we see our taxes change?
Well, first off,
when do I see my electric bill go back down? You know, the truth is, it's never fucking going back down. It's just not going to go up.
Nope. If energy prices go down, so will your electric bill.
Our energy prices aren't fucking going down. They destroyed all the fucking plants we had here.
Your energy prices are going to go down. The only reason why your electricity and your fuel, your food, all that, the only reason why that costs so much is because the Biden administration shut down all the wells.
You think RFK is going to be able to get the poisons out of the food?
No. I'm more worried for RFK than I am for Donald Trump.
Somebody else said that. Somebody huge said that yesterday.
If they make him,
and Elon Musk is who they're really going to go after.
No, they are
fucking furious with Elon Musk.
I don't care about the blue hairs. Okay, forget about left liberal retards. You take JFK. and you put him RFK, and you put him in charge of the FDA, you're going against two of the most powerful lobbyists
who really are the same
corporation
group. Yeah, the industrial military complex
world.
And the fucking pharmaceutical.
I'm just saying. So when you're talking about, just think about, I want to take poison out of the food.
I want to know where that fucking whale's skull went.
It's in his. He's still got it. I hope he busts it out. I hope he busts it out after the election. But you're talking about taking poison out of food.
NASA opened an investigation.
Of course
on him.
they did.
Fucking NASA. How the fuck does NASA have anything to do with a whale skull?
And then, and same thing with, when you're talking about like his first recommendation was to Trump to stop letting them promote drugs on TV, right? That alone, the pushback that he's going to get. Well, you know what
that's all about. That's how they buy the politicians. They buy the media companies through that advertising base.
It's not just that. It's not just that. When you think of who's the blonde dude on CNN? What's his name?
I don't fucking have a clue.
Come on, big time. He's always on there. He's gay.
You mean Don Lemon, the black?
No,
dude?
no, not the black guy. The white guy.
Anyways.
Yeah. Anyways,
some wacko.
But his show was completely funded by pharmaceutical advertising. So imagine.
I don't know how they get anywhere. Hey, ask your doctor about this thing. We're not going to tell you what it does, but ask your doctor. But the side effects are that your asshole might fall out, your penis might fucking tie in a knot, you're going to wake up and your balls are gone. And you're going to have titties.
Anderson Cooper.
So Anderson Cooper's show is all Pfizer. Imagine if Pfizer can no longer advertise.
I love seeing those crazy dudes shoot guns.
If he no longer can advertise, then he's not going to have money. Yeah. Anyway,
CNN's no longer going to exist. I mean, they will now. CNN has a second fucking life right now with Trump back in office. They have something to talk about.
I don't think so. I think this. I think you really have a red wave, and all the irrelevant, all that stuff is going to turn into. I don't know. I may be wrong.
Maybe they don't have to do this crazy shit anymore. Maybe we can go back to industry and fucking.
Maybe wrong. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but who knows?
Creativity and fucking.
Who knows? I mean, he might have a.
The truth is, this is probably bad for my business.
Trump might have a contra. It's always something that most people don't pay attention to, or that they do. Is the best thing for guns is a Democrat in the White House, and the best thing for war is a Democrat in the White House. So, yeah, gun sales are going to tank because there's no urgency, which is awesome because then the price of guns are going to go down. Hopefully, ammunition sales will tank. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon because the fucking Ukrainians are burning through it like a cycle.
Will they open imports again?
From Russia? like from Russia? I don't think we're going to see any Russian AKs coming into the country for a couple years. Right? I don't think we're going to see. Maybe Ukraine can start selling their stockpiles of AKs because even Ukrainians know that the AK is old news.
Think we're going to add all the tariffs that he talks about?
Oh, yeah, we're going to do the tariffs.
Think they're going to lower the fucking taxes like he talks about?
Yeah, he has to. The question on all of this stuff is not, is he going to do it?
How much?
How deep is he going to go? Like, because he on the campaign trail, he talked about no taxes at all. Like,
could you imagine how great that would be?
Well, okay.
In our lives, could you imagine how great that would be with fucking zero tax, like zero income tax, zero corporate tax? Could you imagine what we could do with that?
All Brandel's thinking is, what about my roads?
No, he's not.
What about my...
how's your Bitcoin looking?
It's looking good today.
$74,000 last night.
Yeah, everything went up, of course, because they elected the right guy.
Even the stock market went up.
Yeah, everything went up. They elected the right guy. You should see
my trees look greener out here.
You should see Elon's stock.
Yeah.
Boop, boop,
which one?
Boop, boop, boop. All of them. So again, I don't know what we were talking about, but
wonder what position Elon's going to take.
It's not going to be perfect. Everything's not going to be fucking.
Okay, what's the first fucked up thing going to be?
I hope it's just Iran.
Are we going to hear about the fucking kid that tried to kill Trump?
No, we won't. All that stuff.
He's going to say shit.
Again, he doesn't have time. Like 4 years goes quick if you're if you have this, like you got this book of stuff you want to get done. You don't have time to be like.
Do you think they're in motion on it today? You think the wheels have started turning?
Oh, the wheels started turning before. That's why he created that pack that's outside of the GSA. So it's, you know, the Elon, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, fucking all those other guys. That's outside of they already started. Their wheels are already turning. Like if you wanted to do something crazy, let's just say you're in your basement, sharpening your emo spikes, and you want to do something crazy because Donald Trump won the election. Now's the time to do it. Because everybody's in transition. There's not a fucking single law that's going to get passed. Nothing's going. The government is doing nothing. The government is not going to do anything until Donald Trump sits in the White House. They're doing nothing. Like the reality, it'd be a good time for China to attack Taiwan. Because the federal government, it's done. They're on hiatus until Donald Trump sits in the White House. So
if they attack Taiwan tomorrow,
yeah,
who would lead that war? Would Trump?
Joe Biden.
Or would Kamala Harris?
Joe Biden. Joe Biden. He'd be.
You know he's already called. He's like, if some shit happens, you handle this, Trump.
He'd be commander-in-chief.
I wore your hat twice in public.
Didn't Trump say on Rogan that one of the first things he was going to do was declassify the JFK files?
Well, okay, so Trump already did declassify the JFK files.
It was all redacted.
Except for there's a couple, because he even talks about it on the show. There's a couple of files that he did not declassify.
He only went
and he specifically said that he didn't think the country was ready for that. Mm-hmm. So
what that means is the people culpable are still alive.
That's what he said on the show too.
Or it points in a direction where you could theoretically do damage. Meaning, let's just say there's a document. Let's hypothetically say there's a document that says the CIA was entirely in charge of the operation to kill the president, and all the people that were in charge of the CIA at the time are all dead. There's still an organization that people could be like, well, let's shut the fucking CIA down. Now, from a strictly American global idea, there can be bad actors within the CIA. But from a country perspective, you can't shut the CIA down. They have too many fingers and too many pies, and I'm not talking about from a bad perspective. The CIA is out there doing things that are influencing the world in America's favor. So to just be like, well, they killed Kennedy, should we close them? That's what I'm saying. There's a point where evildoers get a pass. It's no different than fucking bringing Nazis over here to get to the moon. There's a point where we give people a pass for doing something bad, and then that's why those things are classified for 70 years. Because the idea is, if I keep this classified for 70 years,
the people involved are already gone.
All the people that really had a stake in it, all the people that had a stake in the fact that the CIA assassinated Martin Luther King. Even on the Martin Luther King side, the real people are all already dead. All the CIA guys are already dead. So to bring that out now and be like, well, yeah, we did that, but that was some old shit. The young kids are going to be like, yeah, the government would never do that now. Right? So that's kind of why they do it the way they do it. So there are certain evil apparatuses that we can't completely dismantle because they're doing things for the United States that are keeping us safe at night.
And that is Pulling the Thread podcast here on November 6th. You ready to do Patreon?
I mean, I guess we can do Patreon.
I guess so. Do any of our Patreon videos, have they ever come out public anywhere? Can we take a couple of them and just call them Patreon videos and put them up YouTube so the guys they see what they get for joining Patreon? Yeah. So we're going to do Patreon questions. Those videos are based on the questions that the members ask. We build an entire video in the direction and answering the questions and topics that the members ask for.
Can you release the Patreon video for the public to see and everything John says they get to hear, but everything I say you garble. So they got to join Patreon.
Yeah.
They want to know what I said. So he asks the questions that you just get womp, womp, womp.
All right, guys. SOE Tactical Gear is the Patreon. That's where you're going to find it. You can join for, what is it, $10, $5? $5. $5. You can get it for $5.
Should be 10.
$5. $5 foot long.
That doesn't exist.
That doesn't?
No, it's like $12.
$12 foot. They still is what's that? What company is that? Subway?
Do they still call it a $5 foot long?
No.
You know that bread's not bread, right?
I don't.
They break it fresh every day.
Yeah, out of wood pulp and
That's
glue.
good. I don't mind. Both of those things are good.
All right, guys.
You know you can eat glue.
We're gonna go do Patreon. We will see you guys next week, December 7th.
December 7th party.
December 7th.
SOE Compound Party. It's gonna be a pretty big deal.
We'll be doing.
Mimes.
No, we're gonna be doing
Midgets.
Not tequila. What? Hey, what shots are we doing in the parking lot? We're doing.
Streaking.
I want to say Tokyo shots in the parking lot, but
Streaking.
kamikazes. We'll be doing kamikazes in the parking lot.